an example that had decimals in it and also parentheses. So, because there are some questions in Delta Math that I assigned that are these are more complicated. You're definitely going to need a calculator for these. So let me just go through this. But before I start, I want to go over this. Whenever you see like x that doesn't have a coefficient in front of it, you should understand that that's implied that there's a 1 there. Same thing if you had a negative x. Um, the coefficient would be a negative 1. Okay, so when you see that, you should know that there's a 1 in front. The reason that I'm starting with that is it's the same thing for parentheses. If you have something that has, 2, 5x minus 4, and there's no number in front, the number is implied to be a 1, right? So if you wanted to get rid of the parentheses, of course you would multiply it times 1 and you just get what you started with. So, and the reason that I'm giving this example is in this particular problem, it has a negative times the parentheses, but what you guys should see is that this is actually a negative 1 there, okay? And just like this, inside the parentheses is also a negative 1x. So now that I've got that understanding, I can go ahead and start this. So always start by getting rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to do a negative 1 times a negative 1. So this is going to be a positive 1x. And then I'm going to do a negative 1 times 7.5. That's going to be a minus 7.5. And then I've got my equal sign. And then I'm going to do a negative 1.1 times a negative 1 x, and that's going to be a negative 1.1 or a positive 1.1x, because a negative times a negative is positive. And then it's going to be a negative 1.1 times 9, so that's going to be a negative 9.9. And then I've got my minus 1 here. I forgot my x. Sorry about that. So now that I've gotten rid of the parentheses, I'm going to draw my vertical line. My vertical line is not vertical. I'm going to draw my vertical line. On this side, I'm going to have a box. On this side, I'm going to have a circle. On this side, I'm also going to have a box and one circle. So the 1x will go in here. The minus 7.5 will go in here. And this side, it'll be 1.1x goes here. And then in the circle, we'll have a negative 9.9 minus 1. And all we have to do is combine this. So this 9.9, a negative 9.9 minus 1 is going to be a negative 10.9. And now I'm going to take this box, move it over here. So I've got, it's going to be a negative 1.1x. And then I'm going to take this circle and move it over here. And this is going to be a plus 7.5. And the reason I changed the sign is because I crossed the line. The reason I changed the sign on this one is because I crossed the line. So now I'm just going to combine these boxes and circles. So this is going to be, we're going to be left with a negative 0.1x on this side. And then on this side over here, we got a negative 10.9 plus 750. So that's going to be 340, and it's going to be negative. So I can put this all in a circle. Last step is always to divide by whatever the number is. So this is a negative 0.1. So we got to divide this by a negative 0.1. And let's see. So this will be negative 3.4 over 1 times a negative 10 over 1. So that's going to be a positive 34. That's our answer. So 1x is equal to 34. Now, we should check it. So let's check it. So if we plug this back in, let me change the color. So we're going to have a negative 34 plus 7.5 is equal to a negative 1.1 times a negative 34 plus 9 minus 1. So on this side, a negative 34 plus 7.5 is going to be 26.5, a positive 26.5. And on this side, we're going to do negative 34 plus 9 is going to be a negative 25. A negative 25 times 1.1 is going to be 2750. And then we subtract 1 and we get 2650. So this is the answer. Voila.